Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Race Attorney Trials and Tribulations. In the last episode we started cross-examining Iris, but there seems to be a whole lot of contradictions in her testimony. But Godot tried to clear them all up by saying that the stone lantern was not lit that night, and so nobody could see, meaning that, Miss Elise couldn't see the staff that she dropped. She couldn't see Maya, who is her daughter, yeah, so, but, you know, now we're gonna go ahead and listen to Iris's, cover-up after the murder. So, let's get going. After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Crime tradition, so I removed the body from the inner temple myself. I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Wasn't it burning? It's pretty amazing you can make it all the way across. That's a rickety old bridge.
It looks worse than it is. It's surprisingly sturdy despite its age.
It's like they say, idiots are too stupid to catch even a simple cold. But there's one other thing that bothers me. Why not just throw the body into the Eagle River? It would have been much easier than dragging it all the way to Hasakura Temple.
I thought that it would still cast too much suspicion on Mystic Maya. That's why I tried to take the body as far away as possible.
Ha! Makes perfect sense to me, for the time being. Anyway, what did you do after you crossed the bridge? Hold on. Let's take a look at the weather data real quick. Lightning struck Dusky Bridge at 10:45. Never mind. Okay. My logic didn't make sense there. Why did you do that?
Because I didn't want Mystic Maya to be suspected in any way. I thought the best thing would be to remove the body from the crime scene.
You moved her body all by yourself?
Yes, I did. It would have been impossible if it wasn't for the snow.
The snow, huh?
I dragged it behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge, then I used... okay.
The snowmobile? I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hasakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right? Well, yes, naturally you would expect tracks. This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these the tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hasakura Temple.
I see. Snow was still falling, huh?
And then when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony? That is weird. When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped? That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris just added to the testimony. But does it have something to do with the case? All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. Ha! This should be fun. You, let's get this snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir.
By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. There have been a lot of contradictions in your testimony so far. This time, are you sure it's all true?
Yes, I am.
When the murder happened, the snow had already stopped. According to you, that's why the snowmobile tracks were so clear.
That's right! I'm certain of it!
I think I've trapped her this time. I see how you think. Snow, huh? What's going on here? If the snow really had stopped at the time of the murder, it'd mean there's a bigger hole in her story than that movie, The Grid Revelations. Ha! Well then, Mr. Wright, perhaps you'd like to share your theory with us. Let's see what's up your sleeve, or rather, at the end of your index finger. I don't want to believe it, but I don't think my logic is failing me. Iris is trying to pin the murder on Maya. But why would she want to do that? There's only one reason I can think of. You can't be fucking serious. What? You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred. But I'm sorry, Iris. That just is impossible.
What?
This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m., but you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time.
Why do you say that?
Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and had caught on fire.
What did you say? The bridge, it was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be.
It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
No!
Order! The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right. The inner temple was totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way she could have crossed the bridge, body or no body. Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Do you have anything to say for yourself? The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man? I thought he was about to say Mr. Trite. Me? How dare you? Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Squat? The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right? Yes, of course, but whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, there are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Denim was discovered in the Hasakura Temple courtyard. And second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating the Elise Denim's body. He makes a good point, on both accounts.
That's right. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy.
You have stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of that night is hazy? It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, Trite, maybe you can explain this for the court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burnt down. But somehow the body traveled across the bridge and was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick? Well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across that burnt bridge, but unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth. It looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation. See what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth. Ah! All right then. Witness, let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You've admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Will this be her final testimony?
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no way to move the body. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Are you saying that there's a way to cross a burning bridge?
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see. This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned down from the lightning blast. It was taken on the morning after the incident. It certainly was burned to a crisp, and one of the suspension wires is gone. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall. Clearly, it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth. And Maya will be accused of murder. Trite. I'm only going to say it one time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. Alright, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination.
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no other way to move the body, so I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling, or had it stopped? Doesn't really matter that much. Or are you saying that there was another way to cross a bridge? I might be crazy.
That actually worked. Holy shit. A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility. What? Ha! You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. Yeah, you're kinda right about that one. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen. Preposterous. Who is it? Who is this witness? I can't chicken out here. I've got to keep on the attack and go, go, go! Miss Elise DeNim's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice. Larice DeNim. Brilliant, highly gifted
Apprentice?
Remember what he said in his testimony. That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall, and that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night. Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming that the victim flew through the air? And you're using this pathetic scribble to support your argument? Uh-oh. The judge looks like he's about to glow a gasket. Ha! Well, Wright, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old, does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm gonna prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Godot say that? Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is the sketch trying to show? I don't think old Whiskerface is gonna forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. The sketch drawn by Larice DeNim is... I mean, not exactly what happened. Of course the victim was flying through the air. You can see it right there in the sketch. Whoosh! You know, you're starting to remind me of yesterday's witness. What? That was the last thing I wanted to hear. Do you have any evidence that the victim flew through the air? Just so you know, we haven't discovered a giant human catapult at the Inner Temple yet. I wish they had. Even if you're a lousy lawyer, at least you're 1 cup's worth of entertainment. I think we should skip the penalty this time. There must be some way. I just know it. There must be a way to use Larry's sketch to show the truth of what happened. Alright then, the witness will now return to a testimony. Wait, hold on. Something is obviously funny about this sketch. I'm no art critic, but even I can see that. No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Larice DeNim stated it over and over, that this sketch was exactly as he saw it. However, if we're to believe this testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it.
It contradicts reality?
Ha! This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger-pointing thing again. Okay, Wright, so what exactly contradicts reality as we know it? It's this wire connected to the bridge. The wire? Ha! Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed. Then show us the reality that it supposedly contradicts with. Show us something that will point out how the sketch contradicts reality. Right? This one? Okay. That's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct? Yes. Now compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge, jumping just fought, the wires are below the guard wires. What? Order, order, order! This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Or perhaps he just drew it wrong.
Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. With someone like Larice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility, but then that begs the question. Why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Larice was doing when he witnessed this event. He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited, and he finally laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Larry must have been in at the time. He was lying on his back, which is why he remembered the scene the way he did. He was lying on his back? I can't see how it relates. But it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in this sketch go up instead of down. Oh! Ugh, no way. Larice DeSmuMe witnessed the event while he was lying on his back face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down. So then, this sketch should actually... I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Larice DeSmuMe's sketch is like this. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge, it was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum. Ridiculous! Order, order, order! Of all the things to say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found at the Inner Temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side, and a pendulum was the only way to get it done. Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the Inner Temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds right. In order to cover that distance with the pendulum, you'd need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the criminal would have prepared the rope beforehand. So then, the criminal... They didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of the criminal. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there. In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum? And the meaning of this is, if you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard. Oh! This is one of the wires from the bridge! When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Larice DeSmuMe's body. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Ha! Oh my god. Dude, chill. Mr. Godot? Oh my god, is he okay? It seems that Mr. Godot is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high, so I suppose that it's not an impossibility after all. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trite. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual evidence that the body was swung over like a pendulum? Maybe that was the 10 feet. Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see that it's the one that was in front of the inner temple. So then, that was the spot where the criminal... Yes, precisely. Now let us consider the body's movement by looking over at the overhead map again. If the body was pushed from this point here, it would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point. Did you say drop? Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank.
What makes you think something like that happened?
Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance.
What kind of evidence?
Take a look at this autopsy report. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death. 10 feet, huh? That's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose.
That's...
Yes, this blood-stained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off Miss Elise Denim's staff. And even more important is the place where the crystal sphere was found. Indeed! I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found... Oh! Precisely, Your Honor. In the very spot where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed. This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You have provided us with the way that the body could have moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. What the frick, dude? Mr. Wright! I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down. Well, what is the meaning of this, Mr. Godot? Don't assault the defense attorneys with coffee! That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Wright. But you forgot about one thing. Oh? And what would that be? The aroma. Huh? A coffee's most reliable accomplice is the deep and profound aroma. The rest of the court doesn't speak coffeenese. Can you elaborate a bit more? If the criminal had sent the body to the other side, like you say, then naturally, there must have been an accomplice laying in wait to catch it. An accomplice? The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Wright? Mr. Godot is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do. Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice. Very well then. If you please, Mr. Wright, who was the person that received the body on the other end of the Hazakura Temple? Iris. It can only be you, Sister Iris.
Huh? But
I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bikini could never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed it. Right. Were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Godot? This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim. Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time. Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony?
Mention what?
The pendulum, of course. Using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness, I have established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge, which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something that you should have already known.
No! I had no idea! I didn't know anything about a pendulum!
But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help, so you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Iris to begin with.
What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
What kind of nonsense is this? You're saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple? Are you serious, Trite? You mean, this woman is... There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know I've been sticks to my stomach during this trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday, and why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is... Where is she? She's right there. I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time. Dahlia Hawthorne. Hawthorne? Sister Iris had a twin sister. And you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne. That name rings some bells. Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. Ha! It's just your imagination, Gramps. This file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh yes, I remember now. That case. 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine. No, the honor is all mine. But according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month. Have you forgotten that this entire trial is about spirit channeling? Death has no meaning in this courtroom. What? Order, order, order!
Wait a moment! How can you... My sister, she's already dead! What kind of...
You of all people should already understand, after all. The blood of the master of the Kurine channeling technique flows within that body. The Kurine channeling technique? And where have I heard that? That's right. You're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was? Well, if you're going to put things that way, then yes. We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens? Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written right here in these instructions.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hasakura Temple. 2 of them? Even the time of the channeling was planned out. As soon as you hear the lights out bell, in other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time. That means that the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris. And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely one Dahlia Hawthorne. Do you even know what you're saying, Wright? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found the plans that talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. What? Well, how do you know that? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. It was later that the body was moved by the pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hasakura Temple's main hall. There, they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she's been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I suppose. I can't deny any of that.
Yeah, thank goodness. It looks like he's finally convinced.
But something still seems off. Way off. I'm still not convinced that the Iris here is the same one from the other night. Ha! I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous? Like, the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places? Switched places? I mean, they did. They could've. To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial. Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere. Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne? Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance. Oh, explain yourself. Yesterday for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised. Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move freely about like that? I'm sorry. I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it? Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not? An earthquake? Earthquake! Oh my goodness! The Inner Temple! That's kind of Trevor, right? How could I have? She fled. She escaped. We went to the Inner Temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne. That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here, no judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and... There she is. There she is. There she is. That voice. Guess I'll have to ask again. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules. Dahlia Hawthorne.
Dahlia Hawthorne, and my current profession? Permanently retired.
Ha! So you're not gonna bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here? Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it. For her and for myself. Fucking bitch. Oh! Oh my god. Yo, what the hell? Alright. Well, I guess that's it for this episode. We're gonna hear more from Dahlia Hawthorne next time. Let's roll the end card.
Objection! You haven't hit like and subscribe yet!